what I see in this bill and what I see too often come through this committee, this is my biggest frustration, is vendors making a lot of money. And I want to point out in this bill some of those provisions that really shouldn't be in here. And so I'd like to ask you about them. On page 28 of the bill, it allows for this education assistance organization, which, is my understanding, can be for profit, to solicit and accept gifts from any public or private source. And nowhere in this bill is it required that those gifts be revealed as to who the source of the funds are. So anonymous gifts that the vendor can solicit and accept. I did a search of all our laws. I can find nowhere in law where we allow a government contractor to solicit and accept gifts, which I think sets us up for bribes and grift. And so I would ask you to take a look at page 28 and ask why we would open up this government contractor for these anonymous gifts, unless you have an answer now.
Yeah, what we provide for is the outside organizations or philanthropic efforts to help offset the cost and to improve and help fund the program if that's a source of resources. Is that what you're referring to?
There is a provision in here that says the comptroller can accept gifts, and I believe those would have to be disclosed under public information requests, though it doesn't say specifically in the bill. But for a private vendor to be able to solicit and accept gifts, that's new. I've never seen that in statute before, and that is concerning to me.
Okay.
A second part in this bill that I want to bring your attention to is page 10 of the bill.
Okay.
And that lays out pre-approval process for vendors. So for private schools and other vendors. This bill says the comptroller shall approve, and then it goes through like pre-approved vendors and if they've done a background check and on and on. But nowhere here do I see who cannot be approved except for on page 12, language that says the comptroller may approve only an education service provider or vendor of educational products that operates in the state. Operates is vague. I don't really know what that means. And then, and that's C on page 12, line 17. And then also on page 23, the comptroller may not, at line 23 on page 12, the comptroller may not approve a vendor if the comptroller cannot verify the provider's or vendor's eligibility. So, again, back to 10, this lays out who shall be approved, and including if somebody has submitted a criminal background check, they shall be approved. Nowhere does it say someone who doesn't pass a criminal background check shall not be approved. Nowhere does it say that if an organization is not in good standing with the agency, they shall not be approved. And so this opens the door wide to all types of vendors in a system that is, again, set up where you can take anonymous private donations by the comptroller and by the education assistance organization.
Well, certainly, the bill requires that if there is a hit on a background check or criminal history report that people are not eligible. I guess I don't really understand what your question is.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't say that. So I'm saying it may be the intent, and my guess is, and I assume it is your intent to say the people who are not required to be accepted are actually excluded, but the bill doesn't say that. The bill just says who shall be approved. It doesn't say who shall not, who cannot, unless they don't operate in the state, which is on page 12. So I'd ask you to look at that, because if your intent is to tighten it, then it needs to be changed.